So it's Mia, and I have this packet I've probably been showing you guys for a while of yellow papers. This is packet 1, half of packet 1. Let's see, I'm on page 17. This packet's 30 pages, and this is only half of the first packet because it's not even that thick, because the stapler wouldn't go through the second half. And I have about this thick of books from this guy who did the board review class, or thick of papers in one binder, and I think there's a bunch of missing files somewhere else. Currently, I have been pretty much at school. I had 4th of July off, but I was in school the day after and whatever, everything else pretty much. I had the day before and the day before that off. But since the 4th of July, I have been in school every day. I've been in school on Saturday, or Sunday and Sunday, yeah, Saturday and Sunday. And I don't know if anyone else is this crazy. And, I mean, once you commit to a school, like a medical school, and you need to pay your loans back if you don't finish, or if you don't finish and when you finish, you need to do this. And I don't know. I don't know. This is where I'm going with this. So, you take the prereqs. They say, oh, hi, welcome. You look at your first year schedule, you got like 20 classes. Everyone else has 20 classes, and you're like, okay, fine. And then the first year, like 10 people disappear. Second year, 10 more people disappear. People cut their programs in half, change to different programs, disappear off the face of the earth. And in my situation, I just feel like it's like go, 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 go. And just in the back of my mind, it's like, if you go like this, you're going to burn out and you crash and burn. And part of me is like, well, let's just go virtual shopping on the computer. Let's go buy some groceries, you know? And it's like, the rest of the school, the first 4 years, I continuously lost weight, continued to exercise, went to weight loss groups, went to community groups, went to multiple church group activities. Well, some of that caused me a lot of pain because I didn't use my time wisely, and my time is very limited. And currently I have my children. So saying, oh, you have 25 classes a term, and you're in class 13 hours a day, 6 days a week, or 7 days a week, 4 to 16 hours a day. And it's weird going to school from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 at night, or 10. I don't even know when some of these classes let out. All I want to do is drive home without falling asleep. So it's like you realize that, and then it's like, for me, my kids keep swapping their schedules, so somebody's up all night oftentimes. Somebody's waking me up, asking questions, or somebody's hungry, or somebody has a spider in the room, or, you know, they can't sleep, they have leg growing pains. Or, you know, just in general, it's like, I can't sleep, I'm miserable, I have to go to school, I have a test tomorrow. Or you're all helping do some sort of stupid project they were supposed to start weeks ago that they're like, oh, didn't we tell you? Mom, you never listen. I don't remember ever saying, Mom, you never listen. Like 11 o'clock the night before, something's got to be done by 7 a.m. But it doesn't matter. It's not school time for the kids, and I'm trying to be grateful for that and realize my blessings, because I don't think I could handle summer with my kids at school. Right now, there's a group of people that criticize my family and I, which is me and 2 kids. And what gets criticized is, once in a while, once a year maybe, I'll ask for help, or ask, can I call you to talk through some decisions I'm trying to make. You've known my family for many years, you're a parent, you're married, you have a spouse that you relate ideas off of, you may have had a healthy parenting, you know, when you're a kid. And a lot of times people are like, no, you can't call me once a year. Or they criticize, what's your problem? They say, you think other people should help you, but this is a luxury problem. You don't need, they're like, I'm going to say, you chose to go to medical school, so you deal with it. Now, before I went back, I was already pre-med before my kids were born. And I had tried changing my major like 2, 3, 4 times, however many times, waste a lot of time and money. And luckily, I figured out how to at least not waste as much money, but still, year after year, yeah, it's a lot of time and money. Wasted some years trying to get away from medicine and then got steered right back to medicine. So where I'm coming from right now feels like, it just feels like, I don't even know what to say. It feels like I mean, it's hard. I've done many years before when I left my ex where I looked for work for 3 years. And I couldn't find it anywhere. We were living on $400 a month. Our rent was like $400 a month. I mean, we were probably the type that did, I said this before, we were probably the type that did get the lights turned off and open the blinds at night to let the street lights in. At that point in time, right after I left my ex, I had 2 toddlers I was raising by myself. The state had me doing all these things. I had no child care. I had to look for child care. Got really sick with like some disease that I couldn't even, it was like some upper respiratory infection. I thought I was going to die. I had the phone in my hand to dial 911. And I was going around the place like, I need child care. They're like, okay, give us a call some other time. But I was like, smelled rotten. I was sick. But it was, the place that we lived said, if you don't do what we say, each week we're kicking you out. We're evicting you. So basically they wrote a list of obnoxious things I had to do every week. Didn't matter if I was sick. It didn't matter. There's times I had gone to the emergency room. It didn't matter if everyone had to go to the dentist and take some time out of the schedule to do that. I mean, these are multiple agencies. So I dealt with that. I dealt with looking for jobs. I got a job, minimum wage, and when I got that job, it didn't pay much money. So my original plan in school was to do med school. I mean, since I can remember. So seeing as that's the only thing that I could really relate to and had actual education, you don't get a degree in pre-med education, I did go and apply at med school after taking the prereqs and doing all of the things they wanted me to do. Because, I mean, what else? I was still working at the time, but just part-time. What else can you do when you're single, you have kids, you're having someone threaten if you don't do everything on this list no matter what, then you're getting evicted and you're going to be homeless. Basically, what they're telling your face is, do what I say, you're going to be homeless. And there's one thing if you're an adult, maybe you can say, oh, stay on somebody's couch, which I didn't know anyone that would be willing to let me. But it's like when you have 2 kids, it makes it more difficult for you to jump around somewhere, you know. And it's definitely had no money for any type of hotel or anything like that. Let alone didn't even have money for a down payment. Or not down, you know what I mean? Like first and last month's rent plus security deposit. So there's a lot of people I know that are married, they have multiple kids, and a lot of times the mom stays home or the husband works. The husband will get, people I know, they will have like just average normal jobs with, you know, good health insurance, good pay. They say they're poor, they're in credit, but they're driving nice minivans, which are fairly expensive in my book. Own a home, and even if it's a like a modular home in a nice park, like a nice quiet neighborhood. Kids are perfect in school. They may struggle with certain grades, but they're just like, they go regularly. They'll get sick, injuries, fractures, and they'll go to sports, cheerleading. It's like, my kids won't even talk to other people. So it's like, they're like, we're not going to help you because you're the one who set yourself up in this really difficult life choice of being at school like this and having clinics. But it's like, before I did all this, I was rushing around. There was a couple summers, I admit, I think I still had activities to do during the week, but I didn't have a full-time job. I wasn't in school. I think it was 1 or 2 summers. I was looking for work, so I had to drag the kids around, I don't know how people get a job when they got their kids in the baby seat in the back of the car that hardly runs most of the time. I'm not saying most of the time, exaggerate there, but how many times a year was I getting a ride home from AAA and I had to order a big truck because they had 2 kids in car seats. So basically, I ended up having a couple summers where I was at home alone with my kids nonstop. And my kids are fairly quiet. They're not that hyper. But one way or another, kids are kids. Kids were like 3 or 4, 4 and 5, 5 and 6 years old, whatever. They want food all the time. They want to watch a movie with you. They want, back then I'd take them to the park. They want to go to the zoo or something. I couldn't afford a zoo. We started going to the Humane Society to go look at the dogs and cats and the whatever birds and rodents they had. The first time I did that, I started bawling. He's like, oh, these animals need a home. I just need a barn. I could have them all. But we couldn't afford to go to the zoo, so I took the kids to Humane Society to look at animals. And we also went to Audubon Society, local. Oh, that's who they were talking. I was like, who in the world? Someone was talking about Audubon Society today. And ours is a different chapter than the national one. It's just the local one in town. I would take them to see the old bird Sid, if anyone knows. Audubon Society, a large city in Pacific Northwest. Sid died, by the way. He took it into a lot. I don't know, some kind of falcon or something they'd carry around on a gloved arm. And they had, they had other birds, rescue birds, where you could stand up and look through the windows and watch a veterinarian. They would be there 24 hours a day. They would be in there. And we would probably be able to scrape together enough money at the end to split a candy bar. But that place was free. All you had to do was basically drive there. We couldn't afford to drive out of town, and this was at the edge of town. We'd go look at birds, and then there was a little path that went down into a forest, which is back to back to a huge park, probably the biggest one in the nation. Maybe not as big as Central Park. I'm not sure if it was that big, but it was fairly big. Just a normal city park. Yeah, there's a shop. I'm pretty sure the only thing would pretty much would be like, oh, we're going to the place. Because I want to take the kids out. The kids are going to be like, I don't want to look at birds. I'm like, well, we're going to buy a chocolate bar afterwards, and we're going to split it. And that was a highlight. Actually, I still today like going there. In fact, if my daughter would like to go there tomorrow, I think I was going to stay home tomorrow for a change. I'd be willing to go. Maybe I should say Sunday. I should say Sunday. I have so many shifts and so many things. It would be nice to just tell myself I don't have to be somewhere. So it's hard when people see you driving. The car's like 3-4 years old now. A fairly new car. A cheap one. At that. And they spent hours haggling the price down to even, they never give you what you want, but I spent hours haggling that price, days even, because I was driving a rental. But by the time you drive a rental for 2-3 weeks, you're going to be paying thousands of dollars. You might as well just pay the people a couple $1,000 more dollars. At least you have a chance of owning and potentially selling something despite its depreciation. So I don't want to talk to people anymore. Like, I could be a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids, but it's me 365 days. And there's no grandma. They don't even have a grandma. There's grandpas that are far away, that one of them doesn't even care. The other one, he's busy trying to be supportive in the only ways that he can, but he's not coming to visit we used to visit him a little while, but he doesn't really connect a lot with people. It's just a matter of, okay, we're in the same room together, happy. We're in the same car together, happy. There's not really even any conversation, so my kids just sit and stare at Disney Channel, which is fine, but we haven't been able to go lately because I never have a break. And there's other reasons to that, but there was never a time where, even when I went to my dad's once a year, that I could even go drive around, or, none of my friends from high school wanted to hang out, so it was hard to, there wasn't much to do to get out. And I know the kids now are old enough to stay home, but there's nowhere to go, and it's always a matter of calling regularly to make sure everyone's okay. I just don't know what it'd be like to have someone have the kids. Occasionally someone will do it, like once or twice a year, but it's hard to imagine, like, if they were with a grandma, if grandma took them to a beach house or something, and I would feel like safe. I feel like there was someone safe who knows my boundaries, because I have another family that's we found through a mentorship program, but they'll be bossing me around like there's no tomorrow, and then I make decisions about stuff that they wouldn't have done, and it's just like, I feel so bad because I chose to do one thing, or I chose to buy the kid a game that he played for 3 days, which actually his computer completely crashed, so he doesn't have the game. And it's like, then I feel like I have to lie and be deceitful. It's like, they're not my parents. They signed up for an agency to take my kid to go get ice cream every couple weeks. It wasn't, we're going to mentor the mom and tell her how to raise her kid. And it makes me feel like, with my age, I need to realize that I've been raising my kids like this for 9 years, and things are not perfect. They change when they got to adolescence. It's completely like their brain is swimming in hormones or something. It's just like, they're just like, teenage mode, I went to just bed. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how late it is. I slept like all day. Oh well, let's just like chill. And it's like, but my kids were not always like this. So my daughter wants to do art, and she's sewing right now. She's still in her teenage zone. But it's like, I'll provide you with all his activities. If my son wants to do whatever he's doing, if he wants to eat apples all day and drink water, fine. If he's like stuck in a rut, oh well, it's not that harmful. So I'm not letting them go out and smoke cigarettes. I'm not trying to judge anyone. One of my friends, someone I see regularly, only like once a year regularly is what I meant, but she was in one of these temporary housing programs, and her kids were about 13, 14. They were always out smoking. I was concerned because I was like, they're not really able to purchase that tobacco. So that's what my concern was, that someone's gonna be in trouble. I don't know the whole situation. I don't know how they all got addicted to tobacco. But it's not the end of the world. The one kid we see at the amusement park, he's fairly nice to us and remembers us. Remembers how little my kids were. So I don't have anything against them, and she's one of the nicest ladies like. Sometimes you want to be friends with someone. She seems like one of the nicest people that I've met so far. You're not that close to her, but I don't want to judge. But it's like, they criticize you because you let your kid have a popsicle, or you let your kid have some cereal, once or twice a year, something with food coloring in it. And it's just like, but you have to realize these people are not coming over, they're not coming over trying to really be supportive. They just want to jibber jabber at you. And almost everyone that I've talked to has told me that I don't have time to do gardening. That's also made me feel guilty. But I had to realize each and every one of those people, they kind of sit around and do other distracting things. Maybe gardening's not their thing, but they don't have gardens. And if I went and leased somebody's land right now and went and grew a whole farm, I could have a lot of people saying there's no way you have time to do that. But if that's my way of getting exercise and fresh fruits and vegetables, and if I could take my books out there and sit and watch the bees pollinate everything and just study for a couple of, like, I would do it. It would be a lot more peaceful, I think, than the noise where I live. You can hear my sound machine, but it's like really noisy here. So anyways, the whole point was I'm trying to, like, I have that one that Yoda said, do or do not. There is no try. I'm working at not letting what these people say affect me. And these people, maybe I'm angry because they're doing what I want to do. Maybe the wife stays home and has kids and toddlers and gets to watch the cartoons like I used to do when I was still married, and go to the park and be like, oh, look at how much money's in my bank account that I can go buy school supplies and school clothes for my kids, 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 kids, you know, and be like, oh, we're going to a birthday party, oh, it's grandma's having a pool party. It's like, sometimes maybe I wish I could do that, but it's like, if I just sit and try to watch cartoons with my kids all day, I'm not having anything against it. Like I said, when I was able to do that, I'm grateful that I could do that. But it all fell apart when I became single. But it's like, I feel like if I even took a day off, a week off, I would be out in the street. And that's what scares me, because I had been out in the street before, for more than one time. Like, literally, you know, what clothes I have on my back, and maybe something in the purse, you know, that probably wasn't money. Just, you know, I don't know, lipstick or something. That's all I had. So I get maybe more nervous. It's like, nothing's stopping me. I tried to watch Arthur with my kid today, and of course I had my gardening, and then I had my notes, and then my friends, I don't even know if she's my friend, because I freaked her out telling her about me and my kids. I don't know if she'll even study with me anymore. So, but yeah, I just wondered if anyone feels like they gotta keep, like, working at something. And it would be, I wonder what it would even be like if, instead of going to school and paying a lot of money, what it would be like if I were actually making money, like working. And I swear I wouldn't want to work. If I had a choice to be like, no way I'm working 16 days in a row, all day, like minimum 8 hours, 8 to 13 hours or 16-hour days, no. If I had a choice. Sometimes people have jobs where they're like, you gotta do these double shifts, you work at the hospital, it's open 24 hours or whatever. But if I got paid, I feel like maybe I could hire somebody. I keep saying we don't have friends. I'm trying. I'm working at speaking positive. And part of it is people say I'm very negative about things, but it's like, you go 9 years, and maybe I was being negative for 9 years, and you don't really see a lot of people wanting to, when I ask for some help, they're like, no, we're too busy with ourselves, we can't afford to help you, because our favorite TV programs come on every single day of the week, and that's distracting for us. And that's most of the excuses I get, is about TV programs. And fine, I used to watch TV when I was younger, and have programs, and you can't miss it, and season finales, and all this stuff, or special events, or whatever. I don't know what comes on anymore. The Super Bowl, I don't know. But it's like, I just had to, I don't know. I feel like if I was working, I don't want to work and go pay a nanny to feed my kids, but it's like, what if I could work a normal job, a well-paying job with the correct insurance, the correct amount of days off, and what if I could take the kids to the beach, or what if I could schedule a couple days where I could take off and say I'm taking off in advance and then make the dental appointments and then go to the amusement park or to the museum. What if I could be normal? Instead, it's like, they tell you there's skeleton of a schedule, and you're like, holy cow. First time you see it, you're like, oh, that's not bad. Then they add on 3 4-hour shifts, and then it becomes like 4 4-hour shifts, and then there's electives added on to that. Then there's like some random weird class that you never even thought you'd have to take that they just shove on your schedule like 2 days before you have to take it, and you're like, are you kidding me? And then for me, there's a couple groups of people that meet and hang out. Most of them I never did any events, and one of them I'll do events once in a while. I used to do them more regularly. As I get through school, it's getting harder and harder. And it's like, okay, I just did all these days in a row. I actually have kids that I actually should and need to, play games with and watch movies with and help with art supplies and especially go shopping because I have high metabolisms. So it's like, do I spend the time once a year with this group, this annual thing or picnic, or do I spend time trying to do something for myself once in a while to take a break from everything, including, these are like talking 2-hour events. Break from school, a break from work, a break from all these inspections and yard work, a break from having to take the car to get all this oil change and all these maintenance things, and from parenting. And it's like, a lot of times I have to skip the event. Sometimes I can go, and sometimes it's like you're rushing from another, like a clinic shift or something, trying to get to the event, and then you realize your kid's hungry because you forgot to go to the grocery store. It's like, well, I should probably, when they were younger, it's like, we'll go to the event, they're going to have food, but now they're not really like that. And there's no guarantee they're going to give you a doggy bag. So this is just stupid. But I just wonder if anyone else feels like so much like, even having faith, still feeling like if I don't do certain things, I will be penalized. And where I'm not coming from is a lot of fear, opposite of faith. Where I'm coming from is there's times where I slacked because I was ill, or because, I've gone to funerals and been penalized. Like, really, what is up with this country? I've only gone to 2 funerals since I've been in med school. And one of them was at school, and I got penalized both times and yelled at and taken aside to have a little talking to. And it's like, when I die, it will be sad if everyone, I don't really know a lot of people, but it'd be sad if nobody came because all their bosses were like, no, you're not allowed to do that anymore. We don't do that kind of thing anymore. We don't grieve. We hold it in and take it out on others with our anger, with our repressed. So I just wonder if someone else feels like they must do these certain events. And if you don't do it, even if you're not a parent, if you don't do it, you feel like stuff's going to happen where you're going to lose your housing, you're going to lose your vehicle, you're going to lose your source of eating, which for me, I'm like, I could lose 20 pounds, yes, truthfully. I should probably work out and study right now. And then you just push yourself, and you feel like, in the back of your mind, you feel like, am I pushing myself so much that I'm going to make myself crazy, or I'm going to fail because I'm collapsing? And it's like coming home, and it's like, one more thing to read, just one more phone call to make, one more, oh wait, I have to go get another position where I don't get paid for another 8 hours a week. Like, that's what goes through my mind. And then I see my friends doing all these requirements that are due for school, and I'm not doing them. And I'm just like, wow, this is kind of scary. So I'm scared because I have so many priorities in line that I can't compare my priorities to my friends' priorities, because I'm at a different level of prioritizing. Like, I could jump ahead and do what they're doing and do well, but then I'm neglecting something else that could set me back a lot of time. So I just want to say that I don't want to be like a brat. Sometimes I want to bounce ideas around. One of the people in my class today went on a field trip to a farm right here in town, which was interesting. We actually passed. It's like, no one thought that was a farmland right there. And there's actually a wetland that was turned into a farmland. That's a wetland and a farmland, actually. But it's like pretty much right near town. Not downtown, but close. This woman has 5 kids. And I don't know how she does it. I can't be complaining. And I know, I feel like her kids will be a little more normal than mine, actually have activities and, whatever, dance classes, martial arts classes. Most of my friends, kids my age, they got dance, martial arts, soccer. They got something, theater, singing, choir, instrument stuff. My kids are pretty much bailed on all that stuff. So I'm like, it's just a matter of me, like earlier, a couple hours ago, standing in front of my kid while she was listening, talking about the electron transport chain, otherwise known as oxidative phosphorylation. I'm like, she's not listening at all, but it's like, oh, wouldn't you rather be in like a ceramic class or something? I don't know. I'm willing to take them, but it is hard because I did have them in classes. I did have them in music, and if they can do music at certain times when they're at school, after school programs, it's fine. But I almost failed at school trying to take them to all these classes. So people are like, why don't your kids do sports? Well, first of all, your kids do sports. People tell me I'm not organized because my kids don't do sports. I'm like, your kids did sports. My kids started music when they were 6 months and 1 year old. So they're pretty much raised as musicians. I mean, you could be both, but it's like, just because you and all your neighbors are soccer players or softball players doesn't mean that mine have to be. Mine now are in the arts, fine arts. And that's what a lot of my family, I did sports, but I did arts and piano and guitar and drawing and went to art camps. It made me feel bad because they need to come to my house because we're actually organized and we actually do sports, and your kids don't do anything but sit around playing games all day. And it's like, I go to their house, all they do is watch Netflix, and their kids just play games all day. I'm like, it's not my business what they do, but it's hard to hear it because I'm like, this is why it's hard being single, because I never make the right decisions. Like, wait a second, their kid's wasn't playing violin at age 4, wasn't doing fiddling with a violin like this big, because he's like 4, still like a toddler. It's the smallest violin I've ever seen. So it's like, that's what we put him in. And arts and music is like a mind thing. My kids are really into like learning at an obsessive rate, and they are not learning. They learn Shakespeare already, whatever. They're not learning things like I'm learning. They're learning what's interesting to them, and they're learning it really well. So, to kind of just completely change the subject and keep you guys from being completely depressed by my like spewing of just how I feel. I spend time praying and meditating, trying to look at fresh air, trying to look at the sky and look at the birds and say, I'm here another day and breathing oxygen. Some of those movies on TV, they like, the oxygen gets shut off or whatever, and it's like, oh my gosh, that can happen, something can happen, or, I'm grateful. I could drink a glass of water and not get like some disease from it, because I'm staying in my country, I'm not drinking, but I don't know if it's like I open my eyes and stop looking down at the ground, which I've been known to do for many years in my life because I felt so ashamed of myself. But there's been a period recently where I've seen people that are doing their jobs, and they're not like the top of the totem pole of jobs. They're not Steve Jobs or whatever. They're not like way up here with everyone in the world knows who they are. But I've noticed some people that are really good at their jobs, and I've noticed that I see them, and I see that they spent a lot of, like, I'll just use this example. There's a physician assistant that said she's been doing it for over 30 years. And I see the fluidity. I see how well the patients enjoy her. I see all the request stickers on her desk, and the phone calls, and how well she just did, even from injections to blood draws to exams to how to ask the questions or how to move on, or the panic button went off one day and it's like, okay, my student's coming with me, we'll be right back. And it was just like so fluid, and I feel like this person was kind of stood out in a crowd, but in my mind it's like what I didn't see was what makes them stand out in a crowd in our environment or in our current neighborhood, but it was how well, like, that the job as a PA, now I know, is rather challenging. And, nowadays it's expensive. There's also tests, and there's also things that if you didn't pass, you're going to get kicked out of the school. And it's something you also have to keep your license by doing the right thing, and you also have to keep your job by behaving. And it's that and a few other ones that I was like, wow. I mean, we've been seeing farmers lately. Lady last week, 1,000 hours. The first year, she said, was it the first couple of years? 1,000 hours. She worked 12 hours a day. Oh, for 1,000 days in a row. So that's like 4 years, what? 12 hours a day minimum for 1,000 with her and her husband. And it's like, she brought this huge bag of groceries. It's like, dude, that's awesome. Groceries, produce. So that's where I am right now, is just thinking positive and just thinking. I heard some other people, and it didn't matter about their race or anything else. They're like, sometimes being in school, it's like they beat you down, they expect you to perform at the top level, and they beat you down, make you feel miserable about yourself, tell you what garbage you are. I overheard someone say that when I was like in first or second year. I'm like, man, I was like, I feel like that. I didn't think anyone else felt like that. But now that I'm getting closer to the end, I'm seeing more of just, it's not a lot of encouragement. There is some encouragement, but there's not a lot. It's like, when someone's encouraging, it's like, exclamation point, smiley face. It's like, oh my gosh, are these people going to backstab me like later? Or are they just doing this because someone else is watching? Like, I get shocked that they're going to turn around and stab me in the back. I mean, I don't want to think like that. Like, I'm trying not to think like that. But stuff has like happened like that in the past out of surprise. And I don't want to be vulnerable to that. I want to see the signs. So I'm just grateful that all of you guys that are out there doing your work, whatever you're good at, whether you're getting paid for it or not, whether you're encouraging to your neighbor, whether you help the little lady carry the garbage can out, or help somebody, carry the kitty litter in from their trunk because they just broke their arm, whatever. Some way or another, it will make a difference in somebody's life that they can share about, and they can spread that good news, that happiness, that task, or whatever. They can spread the love around and stop having so much hatred in our world. And that's all I want to say, because it's 9 o'clock or something, and I really have 16 days left to study. I believe 16 days. So it's going to be, I'm going to power through this stuff. And I have classes a majority of these days. I'm going to power through these notes. I will tell you this, I complain about how slow I went through it, and I studied with a classmate. We looked up stuff, and we learned stuff, and now I can recite this stuff and remember this stuff, and not just try to do mnemonics just to memorize it straight like rote memory. So I feel better. I feel so slow. I feel like this is what I was supposed to do last year when I took the test. So that's all I have to say.